catch in her voice, that sort of little sob in her voice.
That little teardrop. The teardrop in her voice was a natural because she couldn't.
She could
went,
not
I can't make it, I can't. I go, do it, make it. I can't do it. It just happens.
Some people might find Tammy's, it's too over-dramatic, overstated, her voice. Whereas other great country singers have got a clearer, cleaner voice, and they don't show all the pain. Tammy lets more of the pain come through.
To me, there's something really beautiful about that sound. Cheryl was the epitome of this still, quite controlled backing with this very emotional singer in the foreground, and with all their quirks and peculiarities on display, like with Tammy Wynette, with this strange enunciation. It had a huge power to communicate, and it's that period of time when country music was in charge for a short while.
Next came the real big hitter.
I worked on Divorce, Divorce. Did I spell that right? I also worked on Stand By Your Man. That was a great session. Myself playing the bass, and it was Jerry Kennedy playing the electric guitar.
Sometimes it's hard to be a woman, giving all your love to just one.
Had a great feeling about that record when we did it, because she sang with so much soul. When she hits that C sharp, you know, it's pretty thrilling. You're playing back there and she sails up and hits that note. It's emotion that you feel, and she conveyed emotion.
Stand by your man and show the world you love him. Keep giving all the love you can. Stand by your man.
But it was 1968, and feminists weren't concerned about her high C sharp. Tammy became the centre of a controversy.
People gave her a really hard time. They assumed that by saying "Stand by your man," that she was saying that you should, you know, take whatever you have to take and stick with a man no matter what. And you know, anybody who knows my mom, you know, knows that she didn't mean that.
At the time, I mean, I did see it as very much a counter-revolutionary thing, as straight anti-feminist propaganda. This defence of the male perspective as we saw it on women. And it seemed such an act of betrayal. Hearing "Stand By Your Man" and people singing it as you went down the street was almost more than one could bear at that time.
There is no more victim lyrics in the world, I don't think. But when you hear her sing it, she completely transcends it. It's up there with "I Will Survive." In a different way, obviously, you know, "I Will Survive" is for when you're at the disco and you've been chopped by your bloke. Whereas Tammy Wynette is when you're actually at the kitchen sink, you know, and you've got to get the kids off to school and all that. And it works in a different way, but it's just as strong.
Stand by your man. I'm a rallying cry for men all over the country. How'd you happen to write it?
Well, really, we had a session that day at 2 o'clock, and we had 2 songs that we decided on doing. And Billy Sherrill, my producer, had the first 2 lines of the song written. So we went downstairs and we did the first 2 songs, and he gave the musicians a 15-minute break. We went back upstairs and we finished the song and came back downstairs and recorded it.
Stand by your man?
Yeah.
In that length of time?
No more than 20 minutes.
How does that make you feel, songwriter?
Takes me that long to tie my shoes.
Do you understand?
Every country woman knows what that's like to try to stand by her husband no matter whether he's in the right or whether he's in the wrong. They were anthems for women of the time. A lot of people are critical of that attitude today, but that was the culture we grew up in, and that was what we were about.
To come to when nights are cold and lonely.
I couldn't help but hear the irony in that song of this woman who's been knocked around by men. She sang that song with great feeling, but I think she felt the irony of it when she sang it. And later in her career, she would say, you know, after all, he's just a man.
I mean, it's the ultimate put down, really. You know, we're dealing, it's like, hey, he's only a puppy dog, you know what I mean? You can't expect it. He's as thick as two short pliers. What do you expect?
After all, he's just a man. And every time I hear that, I go, yeah, you know, I don't necessarily believe that, but sometimes I have thought that. Well, he can't help it. He's got that thing.
I think it's stretching it too far to try and see those lyrics as saying that, particularly in that time.
I still say Stand By Your Man is not a conservative song. It's about nurturing one another. There were doormat songs, there's no question about it. She had one song called Don't Liberate Me, Love Me. Singing My Song is a very sort of doormat song. I don't know what I do, what's right, but it makes him come home at night.
I don't know what I do that's right, but it makes him come home at night. And when he's home, I make sure he's never alone. And that's why I keep singing my song.
Tammy was still standing by husband number 2, Don Chappell, but not for long.
They invited my dad over to eat dinner one night, and while eating there, Don was very angry and violent towards my mother and was cussing at her and saying horrible things to her, and it made my dad angry, and he stood up from the dinner table and knocked the dinner table over onto Don and said that he wasn't going to speak to her like that, and that he was in love with her, and he said, I think that she's in love with me too, isn't that right? And she said, yes, I am, and so they got up and left.
You told me you had a surprise for us. What,
Yeah,
you
Dole,
want to surprise us now?
Yeah, if you don't mind. She's a brand new wife of mine.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I didn't forget it.
You're talking about the little lady that the CMA voted the #1 girl singer of the year. You're talking about Tammy Wynette.
Right.
Is she here?
She's here.
Put her to work.
Here we go.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get on the old turnpike and I'm gonna ride. I'm gonna leave this town till you decide which one you want the most. Them opera stars or me. Milwaukee, here I come from Nashville, Tennessee.
Now they really were the first couple of country.
For her meeting George Jones, it was just the best and the worst thing in her life. They really struggled to make it work.
We're gonna hold on.
But I do know that she was crazy about him. I mean, she just adored him, and he did her.
The writers who wrote for her, and there were about 4 of us who wrote regularly, would sort of write what was happening that day. And if she and Jones were having a tough time, that's what we wrote about.
Life can be rough, sometimes it's kind.
Well, he had his alcohol problem and drug addiction. And then I think during that time, in the early 70s, that was when Mom was just beginning to start her drug addiction.
George and Tammy had one child together, Georgette.
Mom's medical problems started after she had a hysterectomy when Georgette was born. She was given medication. She felt like I have a prescription for it, so it's okay. Because they had had Georgette, she was so determined to see that work. I don't think there was ever any way that it could because of the issues that they both had.
There were so many strains on that relationship. She had grown up hard, and she didn't ever want to have to return to the life from which she came, someone very driven. Then you got George Jones, who hit the bottle so hard, routinely. He couldn't be contained, he couldn't be controlled. He was an absolute wild man. She wouldn't let him take the car into town because she knew he would go and get into a lot of trouble, so he took the keys to the riding lawnmower and rode that on into town and messed himself up anyway.
Her and George Jones lived 3 houses from me out there on the lake. We used to, see each other, and George would sneak down there and I'd hide in a bottle outside the door and get it.
This, I was very angry when I wrote.
They said you were a loser when I met you. Never stayed with anyone for very long. They said I'd never hold you, and I guess they knew there'd be something else beside you off and on. I love you from a 4-year-old was such a gift, and 2 little arms around your neck so tight. But a 4-ounce glass of whiskey gave a better lift, and a bottle by your pillow made your night. I thought that I could make a better man of you, but changes just don't happen overnight. You ask of us so many things we couldn't do, and you just never let that bottle out of sight. There's not a thing on earth that we can do to make you stay, but I know every time you touch the bottle, you'll hear her voice and see my face every single time. Every time you open up that bottle, every time you open up the bottle, the bottle.
I don't think he ever wanted us to see that side of him, and I know Mom sheltered us from it, but there were occasions when we did. He was very volatile, and she would not back down. So she would, take it, and she would give him his money's worth too, so it was very violent.
And if you think you got it made, and his love will never fade, you better listen.
Yet Tammy was still giving advice to other women about how to hang on to their husbands.
She's out there too, and she's a whole lot better looking than me and you.
She can do things to a man you never dreamed a woman can do. I'm talking woman to woman.
She saw it as if you didn't make it as a wife and mother, you were a failure. It was a question of survival rather than politics, I think, but I didn't realise that at the time.
After 7 years of standing by George, it was over.
I was there at the breakup. It was the first time she'd ever gone on the road without George. And she said, I'm scared to go on the road without him. And we're like, you're kidding. She said, who'll come to see me? Who'll know who I am?
Soon after the breakup, she nearly died from a drug overdose. She said she didn't mean to kill herself, just to sleep.
I really needed this song to help me through some troubled times.
Now and then,
Lord, you know I'm gonna need her till I get used to losing you.
let me keep on using you till I can make it on my own.
This song Tammy co-wrote with Billy Sherrill and the other George, the George in Waiting.
For a long time, I had been in love with Tammy.